What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. Justin here as always, guys. Thanks for stopping by and hanging out for another What I've Been Watching video. Today, I'm going to dive into my Letterboxd account, into my diary, and discuss everything that I watched. Guys, I feel pathetic. I feel not worthy of this video. I only watched 6 movies. I looked at my diary and I couldn't believe that's all I watched this month. Next month, I'm going to step it up with I have a themed month planned for July that's going to be a lot of fun, kind of seasonal. I know you guys are going to enjoy it, and I'm going to try to watch more than 6 movies, because what the hell am I doing on YouTube talking about movies? I'm only seeing 6 movies in the month. Jesus Christ. But nevertheless, let's go ahead and dive into the diary here. We have some really good stuff. We have some not so good and some kind of in the middle. We're going to start off with something that I watched on the 5th, a movie that I cannot believe that I had not watched before. I had heard of it for the first time just in the past couple years, but I finally decided to watch it, and that is 1991's Popcorn. I had such a good time with this movie. Amazing effects, great 80s feel, even though it's in the very early 90s. I love movies that are in this era, the very, very early 90s. That's kind of a mashup between the 80s horror and the 90s horror. Everything is still super over the top, and it's about a group of kids. I think they're film students or college students. A month ago when I watched this, seems like such a long time ago, but they all get together to throw this film festival, and they throw it at this old theater that had this sort of checkered past where this really crazy incident had happened years and years before, and some crazy shit starts happening when somebody starts to take revenge on the incidents that happened way long ago. They come back to have some fun with these college kids. A bunch of murders and really creative kills happen. The makeup effects, the practical effects are amazing, and the main villain, they do something super, super clever with like changing faces. It's a really, really clever movie, but the practical effects are awesome.
Of course, I have to borrow their faces to do it. You might say
I'm multi-identical.
And the lead performer, the lead kind of antagonist, the murder that comes back, it's not really a spoiler. It's a cheesy slasher movie. You know what's going to happen, but the killer really, really goes for it. It's super cheesy, but the actor, I don't know, he's just a wild man, and he just fucking goes for it. I had a blast with this movie. Those of you who have seen Popcorn probably know how fun this movie was. Can't believe I haven't seen this. Synapse put out a really fancy steelbook a while back, but it was $50. And it wasn't even a 4K, so I went ahead and passed on it. But if a 4K does end up coming out of Popcorn, I will definitely buy it. And I definitely suggest checking out this movie. There's some familiar faces in there. I recognized the girl from, one of the girls from Summer School, and a couple other actors that I recognized. But super fun movie, 1991's Popcorn. Next up, Jurassic World Dominion. Holy shit, I wore my Jurassic Park hoodie in honor of Jurassic World Dominion. What a fucking shit show. I did a super ranty video that went, for my tiny little channel, went kind of viral. It's sitting at about 5,000 views right now, which is like astronomical views for my little channel. But for the most part, I would say I don't think many people enjoyed this movie. Some people who aren't. The people that did go in the comments and really tried to defend this movie, I feel like were a lot more casual moviegoers who didn't feel that invested in it. So I did a super ranty review, and then because the reaction was so strong, I actually did a follow-up video to kind of tell my Jurassic Park origin story. I had a pretty unique story seeing the original movie in the theaters. It's a fun little video. Check that one out too. That video needs some love. It didn't do quite as well as the review, but fuck Jurassic World Dominion. Next is The Black Phone. This one I gave 3.5 stars. The Ethan Hawke horror movie based on a short story by Joe Hill, Stephen King's son. Man, this movie was so well done from the director of Sinister. I don't want to spoil too much, and if you want to check out my review, I did a full in-depth review of that movie, and I guarantee you, well, I can't guarantee you, movies are subjective, but I think you will have a great time with this movie. I have a feeling that even casual horror fans or people that aren't hardcore horror fans could get into this. It does push the limits with a little bit of violence and some cruelty towards some of its characters. The movie isn't without its flaws. There are some plot holes and some character motivations that aren't fully explored or fleshed out enough. But overall, this movie is, I give it a high recommendation. I think this would do well, even for folks that aren't super big horror fans. I think this would be good for sort of a broader horror audience. It's really, really great. Check out out my full review. I'll link it below. Next up, Dashcam. Holy shit, do a lot of people hate this movie. What did I give it? I gave it 3 stars. So I know I'm kind of in the minority, I think, for people who actually enjoyed this movie. I did not like the main character. The main character, Annie, what it's about, how does this describe it? At the start of the pandemic, an indulgent and self-deluded live streaming improv musician abandons LA for London, steals her ex-bandmate's car, and makes the fateful decision to give a ride to an elderly woman who is not what she seems. That's a pretty good sum up. This passenger's like wearing a mask and bleeding from the mouth and shitting herself. And you find out what the hell is wrong with this person, and it leads to this insane climax with over-the-top gore and violence. But throughout the whole entire movie, the main character, the lead character, Annie, is super annoying.
Gas prices way too high. Thanks a lot, Joe Biden. I voted for Kanye. Don't blame me. There's a shortage of everything.
I did a full review on this movie if you want to check out my review. Most people hated this movie. If you're like I said in my review, if you're really into found footage and you like found footage, I think it's definitely worth giving this a shot. This is from Scott Derrickson, the director of Host, which I enjoyed. Check out my full review if you want my full thoughts on it. I recommend it if you're into found footage. Next up, a movie. This is another movie like Popcorn that I have gone years and years, my whole life, without seeing, and I regret not watching it before. This is The Fly 2, starring Eric Roberts. And who's the other actress in this movie? Daphne Zuniga. I recognized her from Spaceballs. She's just stunning looking and just a good actress too. This movie is batshit crazy. It picks up after the events of the first movie, Jeff Goldblum's son, when he was born, because Jeff Goldblum was, part fly or whatever. His son's DNA has been mixed with a fly, and he has this accelerated growth, and once he hits puberty, he starts actually making his transition into a fly. It is filled with some of the most disgusting, gross out practical effects that were just absolutely incredible. I kind of want to do a review on this one. I have the Scream Factory box set with all of the Fly movies. And this really inspired me to want to talk about it further. But if you're a fan of 80s, ultra gory, ultra gruesome, gross out practical effects, I think you'll really like this. I was entertained. It moved pretty quickly. How long is it? It's only 105 minutes, so definitely check out Fly 2 if you haven't seen it. Watch the first one with Jeff Goldblum because it's just like a classic, but I did like how the sequel picked up with continuity. It wasn't like a disassociated sequel like a lot of those older horror movies are, where the second movie is doesn't really have a whole lot to do with the first one. These are connected. It's just a really great movie. I highly suggest checking out The Fly 2. It's a great time. What are we up to next? And next, the last movie of the month, this was Revealer. I gave this 1.5 stars. I went over to my buddy's house the night I watched The Fly 2. We wanted to watch Revealer. The trailer looked cool. The aesthetic, the music, the setup seemed awesome. But then watching it, I was just so bored, and this movie just did not do it for me. It starts off kind of strong with this cool premise. Tensions rise when a stripper and a religious protester are trapped together in a peep show booth and must come together to survive the apocalypse in 1980s Chicago. I think this movie struggles mainly from its lack of budget. The movie was so low budget that the majority of the movie, for the first, 40 minutes, is stuck in this same room with these two people. And I found it to be so boring. We were watching it for 10 to 15 minutes, and it seemed like a good setup, but was still a little slow. So we kept watching it maybe it'll pick up, maybe it'll get a little bit better. And it didn't, so we kind of skipped through it, and we go skip through a few minutes of it, and then start watching it again, and they're still just in the same room, nothing's happening. And then we fast forward again, they're still in the same room and nothing's happening. We eventually just turned it off and watched The Fly 2. So maybe I missed something that was absolutely amazing towards the end of the movie, but this one just didn't do it for me, and I ended up turning it off. It was only 86 minutes too, so For those of you who did enjoy it, let me know if I missed out. Do I need to revisit it? I don't know. Let me know. But that's it. That's all I watched this month. A really, really slow month for me as far as movies. Next month, we'll pick up heavy, and I have a themed month that we're going to go for. So I think you guys will have fun with the reviews coming up in the next month. But guys, I think we're done here. Stay weird. Remember to always be yourself, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.